Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar. How many of you type random stuff on Google in order to see if you have an internet connection? Because I have to do that all day, because Canadian internet companies be like the devil, unreliable. Now, let's get started with Halo Infinite. Now, obviously, it's a bad time to be a Halo fan, alright? Halo has not really been at the top as it used to be, but I think there's a lot more at its core that we need to talk about. Now, I've been noticing a lot of spicy takes about Halo Infinite and Battle Royales, and we're gonna get to that in a little bit. Frankly, I wanted to divide this video up into parts, okay? So I wanted to talk about Halo Then and Now first, okay? Because I think that's very important to understanding the entire argument that I'm going to be making here. Now, Halo Infinite, alright, is a game that was released November of last year, okay? Basically, it's been out for 4 months. This is the latest Halo game. It launched in an open beta for the multiplayer. They added the campaign later, and right now the game is sitting at this weird state of unupdated, and it's kind of a divide of the community, alright? We Halo fans want more. We should have gotten more, and for the price some of us have paid for the game, we definitely should have gotten way more. Now, Halo games have come time and time again. This is a long-running franchise, and I think the peak of Halo was Halo Reach, you know, back when they launched the game in terms of content completeness. Now, when you bought Halo Reach on disc for $60 on the Xbox 360, that disc came with a fully functioning campaign that was cooperative, split screen, 4 players over Xbox Live. It came with a multiplayer suite that was absolutely banging. Tons of maps, tons of modes. Day one, more maps than Halo Infinite has currently. It also came with a firefight mode, a complete horde co-op mode that you could add custom modes to, custom variants, tons of maps, and tons of hours of replayability with your friends. It came with a forge mode that allowed you to create custom variants of maps, new game modes, basically add way more life into your game, community share them, basically create an amount of races, an amount of game types that frankly could have gave you the ultimate Halo experience. You also had custom games, which is present in Infinite, that allowed you to play, again, custom games with up to 16 people, all right, over the internet with your friends. Good times. Theater mode, which allowed you to make machinima, which I think still exists in Halo Infinite. What does Halo Infinite have in 2021, 2022 for more, you know, $70, $60, depending on how you buy it? Well, let's start off, buckos. It's got a campaign, open world now, which you can't play cooperatively. That's coming at some point. Who knows when the fuck that is. Multiplayer, which is definitely not as full as you would think, all right? It's got a few maps, all right? I think somewhere around like 12 maps, which ain't too bad. It's got a few game modes, none of them being, you know, super exciting. Where's Infection? Where's Griffball? We'll get to that. I mean, tried and true game modes. It's got custom games, which is, you know, it should have been there. I'm glad that it is. If the multiplayer is present, there's no reason custom games shouldn't. And there are bots, which is kind of cool. There is, I believe, no split screen. Don't know where the fuck that is. There's no firefight, all right? Again, a pillar of Halo. Some co-op component, not there at all. In fact, Forge, that'll come at some point. That's not there at the present. So right now, a lot of pillars, a lot of core functionality of Halo games is just not present in Infinite at this moment in time. So when people talk about, does this game need a Battle Royale? The game doesn't even have Infection as a game mode yet, from my understanding. It doesn't even have Griffball yet. You know, core fun community game modes that have been in Halo for a long time. None of these things are there. So again, it's missing core foundational aspects. So this moves us into live service gaming, which I think is really important to talk about because Halo Infinite is a live service game. And what I mean by live service is 343, Microsoft wants this to be a Halo foundation that you play for like 10 years. So again, I don't believe that live service is terribly, you know, a sin. I think that games back in the day, you know, if we went back to the 90s, early 2000s, if we had infrastructure for these games back then in terms of internet and hardware, I think games like Quake, Unreal Tournament, and all these types of titles would have been live service games. Continuously adding content, continuously keeping people engaged, that would have been the norm back then. But it wasn't, all right? We ended up getting full multiplayer titles. In Halo Reach's case, it was releasing alongside games like Gears of War 3, Call of Duty Black Ops, and Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, whatever you want to call it. Games with full campaigns, games with full multiplayers, games with full co-op suites. Day one out of the box for $60. What Halo Infinite has been doing since launch is fuck all. There's a few updates here and there. Designing games now is expensive, right? Back in the day, you only had Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PC as platforms. But now, even within the same library of consoles, you have so many targets to hit. For Halo Infinite, you have to hit the Xbox One. You have to hit the Xbox One X, the Xbox Series X, the Xbox Series S, and the PC. And of course, when you're designing open worlds, they become much more difficult to design than single-player, linear titles. Obviously, there's more optimizations you have to do. Hell, even with new graphical techniques like ray tracing, which isn't in Halo Reach, I'm sorry, in Halo Infinite, I'm sure it'll come at some point, but these advanced techniques need time to implement, they need time to optimize, especially when you're releasing on console hardware, not, highest end PC hardware out there. So again, there's a lot to go into it, and there's a lot of understanding one can make. But when it comes to live service titles, Halo has not been providing that core functionality, and it updates at a pace of fuck all. So again, I want to shift gears real quick to other live service titles. When you look at games like Rainbow Six Siege, all right, I think it's a good comparison. It's a 5-on-5 tactical shooter, not an arena shooter, but a 5-on-5 tactical game. The reason why I'm using Siege as an example is this is a game with less budget, but it's a multiplayer-focused game, meaning that for the developers of Siege, to keep people excited, to keep the actual community engaged, you have to actually sit there and keep people playing a game for more than, 3 months, 4 months. Because if you release a multiplayer game and you don't update the core foundations or change up the gameplay, people are going to get bored after 3 weeks. The way that live service games work is rigid seasons and road mapping. When Siege comes out, it gives you a 1-year map, 4 seasons. You get an idea of when the operators get introduced, when map reworks happen, when a new map gets introduced, when key gameplay changes are occurring. These developers take a lot of time to analyze the game every week to make sure people are playing the game and having fun. Again, that's the level of care attention that you need. When you look at a game like Siege, yes, for the first weeks out of a season, there will be the higher average player numbers, right? And towards the end of a season, it'll taper off to nothing. People have gotten their ranks, they're playing the game less, you really have the hardcore players or the one group that loads it up casually with friends. But when a new season drops, people come in. When you look at the life graph of those games, they have their peaks and then they taper off. Peaks when they update, taper off. This is a very careful science with live service, and very few games get it done right. If we look at Halo Infinite's player numbers, and I hate to do this because it's not entirely accurate, but when you look at the Infinite numbers, this is just Steam, because these are numbers we have. They have 6,773 people playing this game, the latest Halo title, in comparison to the Master Chief Collection, which is sitting at just 4,100. Again, that's not a big discrepancy. This number for Infinite should be way higher if the game is succeeding. It's a fresher, newer Halo title. Its 24-hour peaks are under 10,000 players, which for a multiplayer, live service-focused game is not that good. And I hate to go even further and look into viewer numbers for Twitch, but when you look at viewer numbers on Twitch, it does correlate with player counts on Steam or, on any platform. There's less than 1,000 people watching Halo Infinite content, which is terrible for a game that is prided on multiplayer functionality. Again, I hate these numbers because they're not entirely accurate. We're missing the Xbox numbers, the Game Pass numbers, and I hate the other comparisons that people are like, but Nuna, what about single-player games? They also drop off too. Yeah, no shit someone's going to stop playing a single-player game after a month because they've probably beaten the story, all the side content, and the only people playing the game are those that picked it up later on a sale or the fucking few that are getting all the collectibles, okay? Come on. Let's not do the whataboutism here, okay? Let's strictly keep it to multiplayer games. This is not a good drop-off for numbers this quick into the game's life. And if they want to keep this around for 10 years, they better shift gears pretty quick. So in Halo Infinite's case, what is the problem? Like I told you beginning, all right, there's a lot of key pillars in this game that are missing. Co-op, Forge, Firefight, whatever. But even for the multiplayer focus, there are game modes like Infection that I cannot even find in the game. There are game modes like Griffball that I cannot even find in the game. Hell, I would even prefer them to add race game modes in the entire mix. What is present right now are free playlist options. Your generic team slayers, your big team battles, your tactical slayer, which is basically SWAT. These are all fine and dandy, but these are not the game modes that are going to keep people addicted and coming for more. They used to be updating the game with a bunch of new game modes every week, especially during launch, but now I see even less of that. And granted, a lot of it is because I'm not playing the game and I'm not really, in tune with all of the weekly changes, but the multiplayer suite is left basically the same state as it was when it launched. There's not a whole lot of updating going on. The game is still in its first fucking season, all right? For a live service game, they should have been well into season 2 as of now. That's not even to mention the desynchronization issues. Like YouTuber here, Tim Bhutan, actually showcased what desynchronization looks like. I think this is fixed, but this also kills your player base, and this also kills people wanting to sign onto the game when you have shit like this. So what a desync is for instance, the client side, which is what you would see, versus the server, which is what the server is registering, actually has the Warthog movements the same, right? It's calculating the same movements. What it hasn't calculated, what it's desynchronized, is the position on the game world. So right now, the game actually believes they're within the game boundaries, while in the client, they're exploring the world to their heart's content. This, while it seems like a fun way to do out-of-bounds stuff, is absolutely terrible if you come across this in a multiplayer component. It's not fun, it's not engaging, and it's definitely going to keep people, out of the loop. It's definitely going to make anybody Alt F4 and leave the game right there. In Halo Infinite, it's also weird that because the TV show just launched, there's literally no cross-promotion, if any. It's almost as if they're entirely separate, like, obviously they're separate teams, but it's almost like marketing and all these people that keep these, universes connected have completely ignored the plot, okay? Halo Infinite has an issue basically trying to keep itself separated from the sea of online-only games, from the sea of free-to-play shooters out there. There's a lot of them, and oversaturation isn't what's killing Halo. The fact that Halo's missing 75% of what a core Halo game needs is what's killing Halo. Now, this moves us into, the big argument that's been floating around, which is the Battle Royale. Now, FaZe Nick Merckx, a very popular streamer, actually tweeted out, Halo Infinite was a flop. Such a shame, too, because the potential was through the roof. Should have incorporated a Battle Royale. Would have been a net positive. More content equals more viewership, equals more everything. All ships rise, adapt, or die. And you know what? I kind of don't disagree with that. Now, to understand, I don't think Halo needs a Battle Royale to keep life back, but it would have been a net positive. Look, it's a big popular game mode. I may not care so much for Battle Royales, but if you're going to release a shooter, especially one with an open world already encased in it, it probably would be beneficial if you took the year delay implementing this as a gameplay feature. Halo, with a Battle Royale, wouldn't lose anything. Lore-wise, it could literally be presented as a way for you to have ODSTs ranking up into Spartan status in the in-game lore. You could drop yourself into an open world. Imagine an open world Battle Royale for Halo, where you have sections that are callbacks to Assault in the Control Room. You have desert areas, callbacks to Halo 3, New Mombasa, stuff like that. You find weapons like silenced SMGs, like shotguns, like assault rifles, the battle rifle, the DMR, whatever. Even shit from Halo Wars. You have vehicles where you're constantly... A lot of the foundations are there, all right, for a Battle Royale. I mean, shit, you could even have PvE in the entire situation. You could hunt down elite squads and basically grab, ammunition, grab ammo, grab loot. Hell, the armor could even have Spartan armor as a legendary drop somewhere on the map. There's a lot of stuff you can do in a Battle Royale that would work. And there are leaks right now for Infinite which showcase some component of Battle Royales. Here's a settings page for what appears to be Battle Royale permutations. That could be a thing, but hey, before this gets implemented into the game, it's missing what makes Halo fun at its core. Now, when you're releasing a Battle Royale, in order to make this successful, the game at its core has to be good. Right now, the most successful Battle Royales are Fortnite, or Call of Duty Warzone, and Apex Legends. Each of these three games come from titles that have a strong core functionality. If you look at things like Call of Duty Warzone, it was built off of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019, an absolutely good Call of Duty game. Look, I may not be a big COD fan, and I definitely did not care for anything before, Modern Warfare 2019 and after Black Ops 2. That wasn't my thing. But what Modern Warfare did was create a good Call of Duty game with a strong graphics engine, a strong gameplay loop. It was a game that felt fun to play, at least for me. It came with a lot of content day one, and it absolutely reminded me of an era of video gaming where you actually got what you paid for $60. And of course, with that game engine and with that design, they built Call of Duty Warzone, which absolutely is a fine battle royale on its own right. Now, of course, what really separates this is the developers at Warzone, at Call of Duty, are working hard to constantly update and keep the game refreshed. Same with games like Fortnite. It's not because they get the rock in as a meme. It's because Fortnite constantly changes. The map constantly gets reworked. There are micro changes to the gameplay that keep people refreshed. They're updating the meta. Remember when we talked about with Siege? It's keeping people into the game over and over and over again between each season. It's not the fact that they have a battle pass. They're changing seasons. They got cosmetics. The core gameplay, which keeps people addicted, is what's actually changing. It was actually fun to play. Apex Legends, same thing. It's built off the strong first-person shooter foundations of Titanfall, and it's constantly readjusting itself to be a premier battle royale. So again, when you have a good, strong core foundation for a video game, regardless of battle royale or arena shooters, people are going to come back and play it. If you update your game with more content appropriately, instead of making people wait without any, roadmap to guide them, that's going to be an issue. People are not going to be sitting down. I have not done the Halo Infinite campaign. I want to play it co-op, but I don't have a roadmap for it, meaning my entire wind has been taken out of the sails. I'm not going to be jumping into a game that I'm uncertain about the update cycles. Whereas for Rainbow Six Siege, I know that I'm done playing the game for this month. 2 months later, I'm going to be right back into the grind when a new season drops, and I'm going to be having an amazing time doing it. That's the issue with this Halo Infinite drop, is that the game itself is not updating. The game itself is not there. The core addictive gameplay for Halo is just not there for the average person. It needs more. It needs more to be a complete fleshed out title. And once you do that, you'll notice that you'll make a lot more money that way. With games like Rainbow Six Siege, I can put 1,000+ hours into it because I enjoy the game. And somebody like me, who typically does not like skins or anything, finds out if I'm playing your game for over 1,000 hours and I've only given you $60, I may be inclined to give you $10, $20 at some point down the road for a skin just to show you my appreciation as a gamer. Imagine what the whales would do in that situation. You literally make more money through microtransactions by just making a good fucking game in the process, which is something that Halo Infinite has lacked at the moment. So at the end of the day, the core problem with Halo is not the fact that it needs a battle royale. It would definitely help, but what it needs before a battle royale is a completed game, all right? This game has went through so much development hell and delays that honestly I would have expected that when it dropped 4 months ago completely with the campaign, everything should have dropped. You should have had co-op on day one. You didn't. So that was obviously something that Halo, here's the core thing. For Halo fans, not having a co-op campaign day one, bit of a shocker. Of course, that ruins the experience for your core fan. Not having split screen, that ruins it for your core fan. We saw what happened with Halo 5, and it wasn't pretty. Not having a fully functioning firefight or Spartan Ops or whatever co-op component takes the wind out of the sails too. Not having Forge, which has been in the Halo franchise since Halo 3, takes the wind out of the sails. There's a lot of people who at their core are Halo fans who have not gotten the game that they want. How can you expect your game to be successful when the core market of your game franchise is left basically unattended? They're not catered to. You cannot make a game in a long storied franchise. Look, I get making a game casualized or making a game as accessible, but games like Elden Ring have come out and shown that unless you treat your core audience right, you're not going to succeed. All right, that game treated its core audience the way that they should have been treated, and because they did that, they made an amazing game, and it actually suckered in more new players. I say suckered in like it's bad, but it actually sucked in a lot of new players into the Souls vacuum. You could have done the same with Halo. What Halo fans wanted was a completed Halo game with all of these features intact. We would have preferred Halo 3 with much more Halo 3 with obviously a modern coat of paint. We would have preferred Halo 3 over whatever this kind of hybrid you're trying to make that tries to appeal to every mass. You're not giving the Halo fans what they basically loved in the series. You're not giving them the game modes that we have come to expect from the series. For $60, we have gotten far less of a game than what we would have gotten over 10 years ago. And in the game industry, why is that even happening? I get that it's more expensive to produce titles, but that's the core problem with Halo. This is a Halo game that's missing 75% of what makes a Halo game. No, it doesn't need a Battle Royale day one. It would help, but I think Halo Infinite's problems literally stem from the fact that this is not a finished Halo game. And that's why it is currently going through player drop-off, and it is currently losing its momentum, because 343 Industries does a great job at dropping the ball at every fucking release for Halo. They've done this shit since Halo 4. They've done this shit with Halo MCC. It took a while to fix that game. They've done this shit with Halo 5, and they've done this shit with Halo Infinite. Who knows what they're going to do with the Halo Infinite roadmap for 10 years? Who knows what the future of the franchise is going to be? But as a person that's been playing Halo since basically its launch, I am a little saddened about it, okay? I want to see them put more effort into this franchise. I want to see Microsoft take what should be the premier landmark series for their console, which should have been Halo, not games like Forza, even though Forza is amazing, not games like Gears of War, even though Gears of War is amazing. This should have been the one leading the charge with the amount of content and the amount of polish it should have had. This is not something that is okay in terms of the Halo community. And if you want to put any blame on Halo, it should be at the fact that it's missing core key components versus missing arbitrary modes like a Battle Royale. Battle Royale should only be a focus that if the core game is completed. I honestly, if Halo Infinite was a full product at launch, it would not have the player drop-off that it currently sees right now. But as of now, we basically have some weird hybrid free-to-play Halo game that is just, again, 25% of what a Halo game should be. I don't have much more to add to this. That's really my take on the situation. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.